Imagine this. You have a draft of your book, but you know that it's riddled with issues. Maybe the pace is too slow in places, or you worry you have too many subplots that are muddying the story, or you aren't sure that the protagonist's transformation is solid, or you don't know if the themes that you want to come through are actually resonating in the narrative. What I'm going to say sounds impossible, I know, but what if I told you that there is one trick you can use to solve all of these issues in your manuscript and more? This one single writing trick is going to help you tackle all of these issues in your manuscript and likely save you hours of your time as you go back through to revise. This writing hack that I'm going to give you is something that you can keep in your writing arsenal for the rest of your career as an author and apply to every future book that you write from here on out, including the work in progress you're stuck on at this very moment. You're likely going to wish that you learned about it much, much sooner. I know I had the exact same reaction. Before I reveal this writing trick, I want to welcome anyone who is new to my channel. I'm a professional book editor, and if you're a writer, especially if you're working on a novel, I recommend subscribing to my channel. Every week, I either give tactical writing advice like this one, or I talk about the publishing industry as that's my professional background. You'll see we have more than 35,000 amazing writers as part of our community, and we would love to have you. One quick thing, if you could just hit that thumbs up button, it really works wonders with the YouTube algorithm and helps out my channel so much. So, drum roll, please. What is this amazing writing hack that is going to help you fix every problem in your manuscript? It's called reverse outlining. Oftentimes, it's what you start with before you are writing the draft of your book. Plotters will know outlines through and through as it is part of their writing process. But a reverse outline actually is something that you write after the book draft is complete. And it's basically a very detailed summary of your manuscript as it currently stands. A reverse outline is typically organized chapter by chapter or scene by scene, where you document what happens in each and every major scene in your story. And it should reflect the same structure and chronology of your book itself. I've seen authors create this reverse outline just in a Word document as a bulleted list. So you could say chapter 1 and then have bullet points for every single scene underneath chapter 1 and then move on to chapter 2, etc. I've also seen authors put together really impressive reverse outlines in Excel, where they are creating a chart and a table of sorts to organize all of their scenes. You're going to go back through your draft and essentially create a very high-level summary of it. Now, realize that a reverse outline is different from a synopsis document, which you might be familiar with if you are querying literary agents. A synopsis is not getting into scene level detail, but your reverse outline is going to mention each and every scene in your book. Now, because you do have to read back through your draft and create this reverse outline, it is going to take some time on your end up front. But I promise that it's going to save you so much time on the back end when you go back into your manuscript to revise it, because you essentially have a cheat sheet already for so many of the issues that you want to tackle. And I'm going to get into exactly how to use the reverse outline practically in the rest of this video. The beauty of the reverse outline is that it works amazingly for both plotters and pantsers. If you're a plotter, you might say, well, I already wrote an outline of my manuscript, so I already have one. But remember that the book that you wrote is likely a bit different from the book that you outlined. At least there's a few scenes that are not exactly where you outlined them to be, or scenes that didn't pan out the way that you outlined for them to. Things change as you go into draft. So for pantsers, the reverse outline is likely going to be the first time you're seeing your story presented in this bare bones way. And for plotters, you are going to be shown really face to face what the story is you actually produced comparative to the one that you originally outlined. So now that we know what reverse outlining is, I'm going to talk about how we can leverage the power of reverse outlining to help you fix common issues in your story. If you're enjoying my YouTube content, I have great news for you. I have so many more writing resources just waiting for you on my website, chapter-break.com. I've started a weekly newsletter where I'm dishing out exclusive interviews with publishing industry insiders and successfully published authors, as well as providing deep dive content from my background and experience as a professional book editor. I don't want you to miss out on any of the installments of Chapter Break, so go ahead and sign up, and as a freebie, you're going to get my story self-assessment worksheet. Not dissimilar to a reverse outline, this is a resource that's going to help you look at your manuscript from an objective lens and identify areas to improve on the next version. The link to grab your free story self-assessment worksheet and to check out my Chapter Break newsletter are in the description below. The first issue that reverse outlining helps with is balancing POVs or storylines. If you have a multi-POV or multi-storyline narrative, it's important that you are giving each POV and storyline adequate space in the story to be fully developed. You don't want to be overly favoring one POV or storyline or neglecting one POV or storyline entirely. The narrative should ideally feel balanced. In your reverse outline, you could even color code different scenes that belong to different storylines or POVs. This is going to make it so easy for you to take a look at your reverse outline and see the periods in your story where you are potentially neglecting a POV or storyline, or a period where you are sitting with one POV or storyline for a very long time and we are not actually getting any of those other POVs or storylines mixed in. These types of issues are going to be super obvious to you in the reverse outline. The reverse outline is also going to help you improve the pace of your narrative. One common issue many authors have, especially on early drafts of their manuscript, is that certain sections are slow or boring. And as the author, it likely doesn't feel slow or boring to you, so it can be very difficult to pinpoint what these sections are where readers are possibly disengaging. When you are reverse outlining, pay very close attention to the scenes or chapters that you struggle to actually summarize and describe in the reverse outline, because that's telling you that maybe there actually isn't a very significant development or event in that scene or chapter, and therefore maybe nothing is really happening and you could cut it entirely. The reverse outline is also going to make it so easy for you to see how much space there is in the story between major plot events. For example, maybe you think that these two events happen in very quick succession and the plot moves along swiftly in that way. But when you get to the reverse outline, you see there's actually a ton of stuff between this event and this event, and you can figure out that maybe some of that stuff should be moved so that the plot develops at a faster pace. It's going to help you reorganize scenes to create the most effective narrative. If you worry about having a saggy middle, for instance, the reverse outline is going to help you see what is actually happening in your middle section of your narrative, and if you could potentially reorganize things to be more swiftly paced. The next thing your reverse outline is going to help you with is identifying outlier scenes. These are scenes or subplots that stand on their own and are somewhat tangential to the main plot and main storyline. Ultimately, they might not actually be serving or fit into the main narrative. So in looking at your reverse outline, are there certain scenes that really have no ramifications on the rest of the story? Is there one scene where you're following a character or a POV that is never again followed anywhere else in the story? Those are signs that maybe that scene is a bit tangential and isn't actually contributing to the story. I know how hard it can be to kill your darlings, but sometimes omitting scenes is essential for you to create a cohesive and engaging narrative. I have another video that goes into strategies for finding scenes to cut, so check that out if this is a particular problem for you. The next issue that your reverse outline is going to help you fix is tracking character development. Once you have that reverse outline created, it's going to be quite easy for you to see how your characters evolve and transform over the course of the story, because you're going to see each event of the story reflected in your reverse outline and be able to track how the character is acting differently as those events progress. As you're looking at your outline, ask yourself, do my characters go through a robust, transformative arc, or are they just staying static from beginning to end and really not changing in any way? Now, creating a strong, transformative arc is especially important for your protagonist or protagonists. Is it clear to you where and how they are evolving over the course of the story? Which scenes are those pivot points that actually shift their character in one way or another. In your reverse outline, consider highlighting or again color coding those scenes that are those major events for your protagonists where things meaningfully change for them. That's going to help you see how exactly you are manifesting your character's transformation. Finally, the last thing that a reverse outline can help you nail in your story is incorporating themes and motifs. If you have a certain theme that you are trying to express in your narrative, it's essential that that comes through to the reader, in that they're able to come away from the novel with that takeaway that you want to instill in them. Your reverse outline is going to help you see which scenes are contributing and exemplifying that theme, and it's going to help you see if you are threading through the theme throughout the entire narrative in meaningful ways. For example, if one of the themes you want to reflect in your story is that family members put one another first, then color code or highlight all of the scenes in your narrative in the reverse outline that actually reflect that theme, that show a character putting their family first. You might discover that the theme you thought was crystal clear is actually not as prominent as you intended for it to be, and then you can fix that on the next draft. I hope this helped you realize the power of reverse outlining to help you look at your story from a completely different lens and figure out how to improve some of the common issues in it. Let me know in the comments if you've ever tried reverse outlining, and if so, what you used it for. And also let me know if you'd like me to do any follow-up videos on deep dive reverse outlining techniques. I'd love to give you more practical insights if they'd be helpful. If you're looking for some more tips on plotting, I recommend checking out my video on the easiest way to break down your novel's plot. That one is also chock full of practical advice. Before you head out, don't forget your free story self-assessment worksheet waiting for you in the description below, as well as my newsletter link to check out all of my other resources. And hit that thumbs up button if you liked this video. It helps out my channel so much. And go ahead and hit that subscribe button to join our amazing community of writers. Thank you so much for watching, and happy writing.